Pike County Fiscal Court called to order. Madam Clerk, have a roll call. The members, please.
Judge Rutherford.
Present.
Magistrate Anderson.
Here.
Magistrate Johnson. Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson.
Here.
Magistrate Dotson. Magistrate Harris.
Here. We have a quorum. We now have Pledge of Allegiance led by Magistrate Murphy.
States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a special session of the Pike County Fiscal Court. We have this special session simply the reason of trying to get a Pike County budget for the budget years 2012-2013 and complying with the Kentucky Revised Statutes. We have a copy. We're on there are 16 steps on the statute that you have to go through to get a budget. It starts on January the 15th each year, really under KRS 64-345. You start preparing a budget, you get the clerk's budget, the sheriff's budget, the jailer's budget, in by May 1, and then you move on to the steps that set out and the guidelines set out. The policy set out under that statute of the Office of State Government. State Local Finance Officer takes the last step. We're here today in step number 15 in that step of the 16 steps, and to comply with that statute. To comply with that statute, I submitted a budget on May 1. Our local paper, really not understanding the budget process, stated that we had a budget, and of course that we had a lot of extra money. That was, of course, not so. We had no extra money. We had cut $800,000 out from our insurance, changed our insurance, took $1.2 million out in salaries and benefits in last year's budget, so certainly, and we still have people that's cut off, laid off from last year's budget. So we got through that, and we had a meeting with the newspaper people in an effort to educate them and to provide them information in regard to our budget. And we commend them for sitting with us for approximately an hour and 45 minutes while the county attorney and the treasurer and the finance director answered their questions and provided them information on how a county budget comes into being and where we stood on the budget. We have done many things in regard to this budget during this last fiscal year. And I commend again the commissioners and, of course, the directors for these departments of Pike County government for your cooperation to help us keep this very banjo string type budget for this fiscal year in budget to comply with the Kentucky law. We did a lot of other things. We refinanced some bonds, which is going to give us an opportunity to continue to provide service as the people of the county expect us to do, the taxpayers of the county, to keep the bridges safe, the roads safe, and, of course, to pick up their garbage at their home, and the many other services that we provide at our parks and community centers. And we have worked real hard, and my staff, Jeannie and the Judge Hayes and Bobby and Charles Carlton and everybody has assisted myself and these magistrates in working with us and cooperating to see that we could have a balanced budget ending this year, which we have to have under the Kentucky statute. So we are at this 15th step. That is the purpose of this special meeting. The only thing that can be taken up at a special meeting is what's on the agenda. So we do have an agenda. It is on the monitor so that everybody that's present in the courtroom can see it. And that will be taken up, maybe not in order as it is, but mostly in order. Usually we get everything done. Sometime if something is pressing and something should go before something else, we move it up on the agenda. But we appreciate everybody understanding the fact that we had to cancel the regular scheduled meeting. And I can say this, that myself as judge and each one of these magistrates have had done a lot of work. There've been a lot of hours gone into getting this budget that we'll be able. It is a budget can serve the people of Pike County. It is a budget that's looking to keep Pike County as the most progressive county in Kentucky at a time when we, as Judge Hayes mentioned in his prayer, that we see our coal industry under attack from the federal government. That too will pass in the future. We've been through this numerous times. Back in 1950, when they started importing foreign oil, all coal companies, and at that time there was over 350 local people in the coal industry. And matter of fact, all of them went broke. And if a person that had the ability and had the vision come back, and you had people, Bobby, in this county that lived to be 80 or 90, had been, would you say, very wealthy people, because in the coal business had made them that way. They had went broke and went through bankruptcy 3 to 4 times their lifetime. Every time it was because of the federal government ended up being the one that caused them to be put out of business. This too will pass. Natural gas, Charles, I don't know what it was. It was $2 and $2.69. Natural gas is today. And we had a liquefaction plant changing coal into liquefied natural gas in the late 70s and early 80s at Robinson Creek in this county, one of 144 plants. Natural gas got down to less than $2, and they had a change of administrations in Washington, and President Reagan, using the price of natural gas, which went up to $8.50 within 45 days, and then he said we didn't need the liquefied natural gas, and he shut down around the United States 144 liquefaction plants, gasification plants as they're called. So it's happened to us time and time again. We have, so that's the purpose of us being here with this budget, to finally get a, now this is not over with. We do not have a budget yet. Immediately after the adoption today, after this is adopted, it has been approved by the local finance officer, but it under that Kentucky revised statute under 68.270, within 50 days of the adoption, a copy of the adopt budget has to go back to the state office to the state local finance officer for his signature. The court will authorize me to sign it as chief executive of the county, and then by the first of the month, by the last day of this month, we will have a budget. That's how it happens every year, and that's how it will happen this year because we are in compliance with the statute. So that's the purpose of us being in this meeting today. That's the purpose of us being here. We have to have a budget. We have to have a workable budget. We have to have a budget that we can live within the budget the next fiscal year. We will do that with the cooperation of all the commissioners and directors, and we know that they will continue to be prudent in their efforts to help us stay within the budget. The $5,000 limit, not the $20,000 limit, I will put in effect after the first of the month. It will continue, and for anything purchased over that amount will have to be improved by the county judge executive. In an effort to, and again, I'm going to be understanding and try to, I know that we have a lot of older equipment, high mileage equipment. We're down now, I didn't add that, Judge Hayes, you're the personnel director. I think we're down now to about 250 employees. We had the highest number was about 280. So yes, we've done a lot. We've had a cutback, but we've not filled many positions as people have been off on compensation and for health reasons and retirements. We have combined the duties, and again, I want to commend the county employees. We have dedicated county employees. Very few turnover in county government in most all departments. We are blessed not to have to cut our senior citizens program. Carl was looking at me here, and we certainly didn't want to ever do that. Our money's intact, so people's insurance will stay the rates they get it now in their communities. We are still going to be able to, again this year, take care of the fire departments in the county. We are blessed again, Doug Tackett, to have approximately, 600 certified firemen who's had complete training in Pike County. And they are, Doug is our coordinator with the fire departments, and they are well trained. We have good fire departments. They protect our businesses and they protect the people's homes in this county. So we are elated that this budget, all the work that's been put into it, all the worry that we've had as leadership of this county to do what is right and to continue to provide the services that the people of this county expect us to do and that we're supposed to do. I want first to have some announcements, and they will come up on your board. And we have this Wednesday, and the Pike County Fiscal Court, if I remember Magistrate Harris, it's been about 3 years ago, we passed a resolution asking that a portion of the road over around Belfry be named in honor of Charles Fuzzy Kazee, the 10th-term sheriff of Pike County. And let me say this, it's taken this long. Our legislators, they was for it, but as the people, especially in Kentucky, are aware, that the president of the state senate would not call anything up in the Senate of about 4 sessions of naming any roadway or any bridge in the Commonwealth through the legislative process. And people of Kentucky didn't like that, and I think they showed that in the election last year. So what has happened in regard to this road and this is that US 119, and we know that Governor Patton was instrumental in moving that highway forward, and it was apropos for that road to be named the Paul Patton and Judy Highway. I attended that at Belfry when they had that ceremony, and took part in that ceremony at the Belfry High School before I started this term, and that was proper. But Paul Patton and Judy was very understanding in the fact that Fuzzy Kazee was born and raised at Belfry. And they waived a portion of that highway. They didn't waive it. Their name will be on the whole corridor. But the corridor also will be a memorial corridor, or whatever you call it, to Charles Fuzzy Kazee from the foot of the mountain to the state line. Wednesday, June the 27th, at Belfry High School Auditorium. The Fiscal Court will take part in that. All the magistrates are invited. And there will be a ceremony conducted by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet in regard to the naming of this corridor. So I think it is great that they have finally got this done. I know that the members of this court who passed a resolution several years ago are finally glad to see this. And that is this Wednesday, June the 27th at 11 a.m. We have the annual Shelby Railroad Reunion this Saturday, June the 30th. They start registering about 10 a.m. It starts about 11 officially. There will be 3 scholarships given out to a railroad-connected high school senior in the railroad area, and that is because of the William Clark Enterprises contribution to this area and to the educational system. It will give a young person, a senior, can have a hand up in starting his college degree. It's in any state university, any college, or any community college. They are eligible. This is probably around, I don't know how many exactly, but maybe 15 or 16 that's been given out. That is Saturday, June the 30th at the Grace Baptist Church. It's open to the public. It is listed along with Hillbilly Days as a Pike County festival, and it has grown. It gives people who are railroad buffs, and it gives people who've been connected with railroad, who've been connected with railroad family, who has worked on the railroad, who has worked in other related industries that the railroad has caused to be in this county and in the Shelbyana area. So everybody can come out, bring a dish. It's free. It's a free meal, and it is. We'll have music. We have coming back this year Mr. Comer, Terry Comer, who wrote the love ballad Shelbyana, and he will be coming back this year. And Blackberry Jam. And Blackberry Jam has become a regular. The bluegrass band from Pike County has become a regular, and they will be there. The safety unit that's set up for railroad crossings in the Commonwealth, they will be there. They will have their model train. Again this year, this reunion is sponsored not only by Pike County, but it is sponsored by the Hollis P. Huntington Foundation, and of course they give 2 tickets away worth approximately $450 to go on the annual trip from Huntington, West Virginia, across the New River Bridge on the train excursion. So we part of this Railroad Reunion Board of Directors is to help support to get a excursion train from Ashland to Elkhorn City, and we're continuing to work on that. We attended a meeting about 2 months ago in the state capitol with a vice president of CSX trying to move that forward and make it happen sometime in the future. So we're hopeful, and that will be the biggest in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. That will be the biggest boost to tourism that's happened in Kentucky in many, many years. So we have next we have to pull up some on it, and if you pull those up, Mrs. Burke, we'll get started on the what we have on the other parts of the announcement, and that is the pools. I think, do you have those first, Brandon? Brakes. Pardon? Brakes, Interstate Park. I was up, Magistrate Murphy, Magistrate Robinson, and I was at the cutting of the groundbreaking. You see Senator Puckett from Virginia, who this is a park. It is an interstate park. There are 2 of those in the United States, one in New York, New Jersey border, and this one you see Senator Jones, and we was able to be up there and take part in that. So it was a great day for this area in regard to boosting tourism. They get 400,000 people to that park every year. This, according to their own studies, now is going to show that they will get over 1 million and 2 or 3. But that's not all. They are a bridge constructed, the new corridor on US 460 that's under construction will cause a 4-lane road to go all the way near the entrance of the Breaks Interstate Park. Once that is done, then this park will be what it ought to have been in all of these years. So it is the matter of fact, that contract is out, a $133 million contract, and that contract was got by a Kentucky contractor, which was Bizac, one of Leonard Lawson's corporations. And folks, the day before we was up last week, they had 750 people, wasn't it, Magistrate Murphy and Magistrate Robinson? That's the figure they gave us, wasn't it? 750 people was entered the gate for that interstate park. I know that this says only 2 of those in the United States passed by Congress, signed into law. The Pike County Chamber of Commerce was instrumental, and along with Mr. Day, with Goebel Newsom Jr., the state representative at the time, and Senator Long from Virginia, and others. In 1954, that act was passed by Congress, and it's continued to grow. And it is a great asset to us in Pike County. Matter of fact, we were told that the statistics show that the most people visiting that park are residents of Pike, Floyd, Johnson, Letcher, Knott, Perry, Breathitt, and the counties in eastern Kentucky and those counties in Virginia. The advertisement is being done for a 5-year period that's in those counties, and then will be branched out to other areas on other television channels and other marketing. They will market it in other areas. But the county pools are they next, Brandon? The county pools, Virgie last week, they said they had 606 people in 3 days. So, I mean, that is something. And they said that they're averaging over 100 people a day at the other 2 pools. And they have pictures. If they're not coming up now, they have pictures on here that you'll see them run on here today if they're not in order. So that's a report on the pools. Now, it was because we was able to tighten our belt and able to get the cooperation of everybody that we was able to certainly have some funds of around $400,000 so that we could do some things in this budget, and the fiscal court acted on that. And you all, it's no use for me to repeat that. It's been in the paper and on Pike TV before. We was able to do some things for our employees that we had not been able to do in 3 years. So it was God sent. This is not. You all have something on there that'll be brought up in the meeting later. So we're gonna go over the agenda today, but we do have on public comments. We do have Luke Smith. We furnished Mr. Smith with a copy of our agenda today, and I'll see that that's down on our agenda. So we'll ask him to come by and make a brief statement. I'll get that. Thank you, Judge Hayes. But a very brief statement. I think that the fiscal court members have been provided all the information that I've had available to me, and we do have a resolution on the agenda today. And so I would ask you to be very brief and keep your remarks to about, I won't do you like EPA did us, 2 minutes. I'll give you 5. I'll be a little bit more liberal today. So we'll give you 5 minutes, and we're very familiar with this issue. Matter of fact, this fiscal court thought that we had a carrier for this airport, Azoo Airlines, and you're familiar with that. You and I have discussed it. This court took the leadership, and let me add before you start, Pike County Fiscal Court, not this one, but a court that I was the chairman of back many years ago. The city of Pikeville and the Pike County government, both governmental bodies, purchased the property at Marion's Branch. We purchased the property fee simple, and we purchased the mineral. especially the coal. We did not get the gas, natural gas, and oil rights. We got the mineral right. All properties but the Forsyth property, and as all of us know, there's a little stither in the middle that still belongs to the Forsyth. So the city of Pikeville and the county had got the property, paid for the property, got the mineral. Then we went to Washington and got Congressman Perkins at that time with Virgil Osborne, who was the head of a federal program who was based at Hazard, a training program that would train heavy equipment operators. We moved them on the side, and for 4 years, we started preparing for an airport on Marion's Branch, a new airport for Pike County. The old airport, those of you who remember, it was one way in, one way out, a lot of crashes, and a lot of deaths of people trying to get in and out of the old airport. So then it was the Pikeville, Pike County Airport. Then 4 years into coal contracts with Hobart Potter, John Jack Adkins, C.D. Roberts' companies, and other companies mining coal up there, a vast amount of money was put in escrow from that mining when the mining was done. And it was at that time in the Pikeville and Pike County airports given to them and put in escrow by the airport board. Then the state government, Ed LaFontaine, the commissioner in Frankfort at that time of aeronautics, gave us bad news. The state withdrew from the airport and said you have to go somewhere else and build it. The Pikeville Airport Board and the city of Pikeville withdrew, and you only had one airport, and Mayor Hamley delivered the records after they withdrew to my office. Pike County Fiscal Court moved to and got a study done and looked at several sites, 4 sites, one the bush job on Greasy Creek, one one somewhere in Robinson Creek, and another one at where the present airport is presently. And the study showed that the one that they wanted, and we was able to, and I say we, now when I say we, it's Pike County government, we was able, Mr. Smith, to get the Hatcher family and agree through Dr. Walter Hatcher and those heirs to make that property available. At that time, the severance tax money came to county governments, and they made the decision how the money was to be spent. And the Pike County Fiscal Court, as a body, voted to put $1,300,000 and match a coal company who had a contract on this property to construct an airport. The airport was constructed. The city of Pikeville had no money in it. The Chamber of Commerce had no money in it. And then later on, then others got involved, and after I left office that 12-year term, the Pikeville became part of the airport again, and it became the Pikeville, Pike County Airport, and was that when it was dedicated. Matter of fact, I attended the dedication. They are in the lobby at the airport for anybody who wants to go read it, a history of how the airport was built and constructed. But it is there because of Pike County government. Then, about a year and a half ago, I received a visit from Mr. Hall from the Pike County Chamber at that time, and Donovan Blackburn, and Mr. Smith, and they wanted to know if I would ask the Fiscal Court to put money in for study. And I took the position, no, I really wouldn't want to do that because we had built the airport. Chamber had no money in it, city had no money in it, and we think other people ought to step up to the plate. And yes, we had tried to get tried to get Azul Airlines in. Thought we had them at one time, but I said things happen. The economy of the United States changed. It is changing fastly, very fast on us, and we are looking at tightening our belt in regard to our own budget. And I just wouldn't feel right by going out and proposing that we give money for this study. The study was done on funds provided by the Pike County Chamber of Commerce, started that time, and then the new body to have the study done. So then I received a VS back from Mr. Hall and from the city manager in regard to this, and Mr. Smith of asking for our support and $1 million. And I brought up some issues, and we discussed them at that. I brought up the issue of Jim Justice at the Greenbrier and the fact that he had put up a $4 million bond and that he was under lawsuits present time because the money that they put up went down after the PGA tournament. I take the Beckley paper, and I know about the Silver Airlines and the contract they had. I knew about how they subsidize the tickets. If they go to New York, they charge $125, subsidized around $400. And then that money comes down out of this pot sitting over here. And I knew that. I said to those people when we visited that day that yes, we had worked so hard to bring a commercial airline in here that it is one of the best tools that we have as we bring people in, and Charles Carlton can tell you that. And we've had people in from all over this country. Had a group in from California recently. And to be able to say that we are working to bring this service. But along the way, this body got left out. Seems that for some reason, unknowns to me, they was never mentioned. And we kept reading the paper, and news releases would go out that was going to have a commercial airline service, and that the city had filed for some $800,000, and then the announcement come out, and then we had the newspaper headlines, and matter of fact, almost ready for takeoff. Everybody saw the front page of the paper. Wasn't any mention of this body here, but they chose to come in and asked us for assistance in getting $1 million. I asked a question to the city manager and to Mr. Hall and said, have you all done due diligence in checking this Kansas plan of Manhattan, Kansas, where they have Kansas State University, even though it's similar and a little isolated, but they had them, and that they had been very successful in using this system. But so then, about a week later, the city manager didn't come back, but Mr. Cheney came for the commission, and Mr. Smith came, and we had another conversation. And each time that I've talked to these folks, I told them that in this body, and I think I can say that we have always been for that type of service at this airport. If there was some way to make it financially feasible, that it is a great asset to our toolbox as we start working to diversify our energy and to certainly develop our county around coal and natural gas. So we've ended up here again today to Mr. Smith. They've been meetings after meetings held. They've been telephone calls to some of your magistrates by Mr. Hall, attempting to, evidently they thought that I wasn't for it, and I made it plain, and I'll make it plain again today. I am for this service being provided in this county, and it's 2012. I would hope that it works. It is a great asset. Folks, we have a medical center here, Pikeville Medical Center, 300 doctors. 90% of those doctors are specialists. And they have now a working relationship on the heart, as you know, with Baltimore, with that facility. And then they're trying to work with Mayo and others. And they need an airport, this type of service, to get their people into this county. We have Wayne Supply, who is a great supporter of this, who has been to numerous meetings. He was on the, Mr. Smith, we had a local committee on this county government did, gosh, for the last 3 years. Mr. Miller at Wayne Supply, one of the biggest boosters for this type of service, because they have 160 employees in this county today, high-paying job. We have one of your leading engineering companies, a lot of people don't realize it, of Summit, who has 155 employees, and only 55 until recently. They've moved 12 more of their environmental section out of Virginia to here. So they have more than 100 of the 55 in this county. But you have the great need for our coal industry people and our industry as we bring the people, that people comes in to EQT from Pittsburgh. They have been having to get a smaller plane to get into our airport presently. I'm sure they would avail themselves to this service. Recently, we had people in here in regard to another project we can't mention today, but we have two projects that we have a confidentiality agreement on for our industrial park, and we of course have on the agenda today to discuss that with the magistrates and about the infrastructure, of completing the infrastructure at the Scott Fork Industrial Park. And matter of fact, I'll tell you, out of the $60 million that's been spent on industrial parks in western Kentucky coal fields and eastern Kentucky coal fields, zero had been spent in Pike County, and we paid 32% of the severance tax in. And the only money that I know about that we got is the $2 million for the road at Fish Trap, and that will go up to 2.5, and the $300,000 for the study on new 460. So Mr. Smith, I'm sorry that you had to stand there and hear that again. That is probably the fourth or fifth time that you've heard me make that little talk in your presence. But I felt I ought to do that for the benefit of the people that's here today and, of course, for these magistrates. So we welcome you here. We know your background. Look, this fella is a booster from this area, I can tell you, and he was serious when he told me that. He lives in Louisville, and every time he comes up here, he's amazed with the progression of Pikeville and Pike County, and of all the $580 million worth of contracts that's out in this county. And believe it or not, and I didn't tell you the other day because other people was around, but I've had two people from Louisville that told me that you had mentioned to them about this progress going on up here in Pike County and in Pikeville. And we appreciate that. And looking over your background, you have great expertise in this field. Matter of fact, we look so far back, your father also contributed a lot to this country and what he did for this country. So I want to welcome you today and give you an opportunity to tell about your study and about what you found. They all have been provided. They've had it for a while to take a look at it, but they have been provided a copy of the study.
Great. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Judge Rutherford, members of the court. And let me say, first of all, it's a real pleasure to be here today, and I appreciate the intro that you have provided to not only the members of the court but the audience. This is an interesting issue. It's taken many twists and turns, and We've made a lot of progress on this project, and I'm almost afraid to ask how far back in my background you did go, but hopefully it wasn't too bad, but I do appreciate that. Very quickly, and I know you're pressed for time, when we started this project, I became involved about 2010, but as most everybody in the room knows, this has been a community goal for some time, to bring scheduled air service to Pikeville and Pike County, and my involvement started in 2010. We updated the market profile at that time. It indicates that there clearly is a market for scheduled air service in this part of the country and in this part of the state. Very quickly, it's our view that if we can bring scheduled air service in, it will serve a 13-county area in Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, 9 of the counties being in Kentucky, 3 in Virginia, 1 in West Virginia. We also project that the total potential employments totals around 120,000 people. That's if you get 100% of those that fly from this area, currently from the other 4 surrounding commercial airports. Now, we know we won't get 100%, but we do think there's an opportunity to get a nice share of that, which would bring the service to the community, which is what you want. We have 2 primary goals. Our first goal is to recruit a regional airline that is aligned with a major carrier. That's somebody like American Eagle, Delta Connection, U.S. Airways Express, a company like that, a known entity, a known brand. The second goal is to establish service from here to a major connecting hub, like in Atlanta, like a Charlotte or a Detroit or someplace like that. The idea would be that you get on the plane here, you make a relatively short flight, and then when you get to the hub, you can connect and go virtually anywhere you want to go in the United States or even overseas. So that's the goal. It's all about connectivity. It's all about connecting Pike County to the global air service network, and that's what we're trying to do. We started discussions with 6 different airlines, and out of that, we now have, and I'm very pleased to say that we have 2 carriers that are interested in possibly serving this market. Unfortunately, due to the confidentiality of the issue, I can't share the names of those companies, but they are names that you would recognize if I was able to tell you who the companies are. And given that the economy that we have, the high fuel prices that we have, and also given that this is a relatively small market that's unproven, at this stage of the game, to have 2 carriers that are interested in this market, we think is a pretty good position to be in. Now, what do we need to do in order to make this happen? We still have a long way to go, and it's still a bit of a long shot, but we have made progress. The thing that we have to do right now is we have to assemble some type of revenue guarantee package. This is standard procedure for any community that wants to recruit new airline service, or even a community that already has it that wants to expand existing service with a new route. The airline business is very expensive. In this case, in Pikeville and Pike County, they would have to dedicate an aircraft to this market, a flight crew to this market. They would hire local people to staff it. They'd have to buy a lot of computer equipment. You know, there's a fair amount of money. And they want to be assured that when they come here, that they will have a partner in helping them develop the service, get it to a profitable and sustainable position. The model that you mentioned for Manhattan, Kansas, we think conceptually can be made to work here, where we would put the package together, and if and only if the airline over the first 2 years falls short of a mutually agreed upon revenue target, then the revenue package would step in to help make up the shortfall. One thing that we are not doing, we are not asking Pike County government for any money at all. I want to make sure that's very, very clear. One thing we did last year is we applied for what's called a Small Community Air Service Development Grant. That's administered by the US DOT. It's an annual event. It's a competitive grant. This airport competed with 80 to 100 other airports around the country, about 68 as a matter of fact. This was the smallest airport that was in that cycle last year. It competed with airports like Albany, New York, that are much larger with existing service. And not only did we compete, we won. We were able to get the grant. We have it in hand at $750,000. The second part of our package is to apply for a multi-county coal severance tax grant, which we have done. As everybody knows, the purpose of the coal severance tax money is to be used for economic development purposes back in the coal-filled counties. We've submitted our application, and what we need right now simply is the support of 3 counties in the region that believe that what we're trying to do will have a positive economic impact on this part of the state, which I think most everybody, once they think about it, agrees that it will. We very much appreciate Judge Rutherford's support for this project, and everything that he said about his support, his interest is absolutely true, and we've really appreciated that. What we need now is simply to ask for your support through a resolution to support our pending grant for the $1 million multi-county coal severance tax grant. If we can get that, we already have Floyd County Fiscal Court, which has passed a resolution. Based on their schedule of their meeting, we had to meet with them about a week ago, but we'd very much like to have your support. I have your resolution in hand. It essentially says everything that we want it to say, with one exception. It does not reference the coal severance tax grant. And that's what we would respectfully ask you to consider, either changing the language of that resolution, or we have an alternate resolution, if I could pass that around, please. And you may have copies of this. It's very similar, but it does specifically reference the multi-county.
Let me say that you said that you're not asking for county money.
Correct.
That, as I said, Pike County pays 32% of the tax in, and it's for economic development, and that's for jobs. And that money is for infrastructure, and I would agree this comes under that. But this application, we was not asked to be a party to this application. I'm talking about this body. If I'm correct, that's the city of Pikeville.
That's correct.
We was not asked. We was not in anything mentioned. Nobody talked to us about it. Nobody advised myself or these magistrates that was being done. We had to read it again, and for 6 months or 8 months in 5 different news releases. This body was never mentioned. So we was left out. I'm very surprised when you walked in then and said, now we want to get $1 million through you all. That is Pike County. That's mined by people in Pike County, coal miners, that's gone under these hills and mined that coal, sent that money to Frankfurt. And we notified 9 weeks ago, or 10 or 12, somewhere there, the Office of Local Government that this body would be submitting an application for infrastructure money for jobs to complete the infrastructure at Scott Fork and possibly other locations. We are in negotiations and have had here, we had another group in from another state last week. I'm under a confidentiality agreement, I can't mention it, but we've got several groups. We have, we're trying to put together a program to replace the use of coal where the EPA says we can't mine coal, market coal, or use coal after it mines. We're trying to find a niche and have worked on it for many years in this county, and we have a project going for that. But having said all that, again, I'm disappointed, I'm sure the rest of the people are here sitting at this body, that we've been left out of the process and then brought back in it when you needed money.
Well, let me
me
interject, if I might, just for a second. First of all, my role as the project consultant is to try and facilitate as much of these moving pieces as possible. And I certainly understand that there may be, on occasion, some differences that exist between various groups within the community being all of Pike County. And I think the issue today that we have to hopefully get through and get around is, if we're going to be successful with not only this application, but also in getting one of these 2 carriers to provide service here, we really want to demonstrate that there is local support. And I understand that you may have some other applications for some other projects that are very worthwhile, and like most everybody across the state, I was very concerned to hear about the layoffs in the coal industry over the last 4 or 5 days. This is the kind of project, I think, that if we can make it successful, will help you create some new jobs, both within the coal industry and maybe outside of the coal industry. But if we're going to be successful, we really need to get this grant, and we feel like we have a good shot at it.
I think you've done your job. I commend you for the type of job and your study that you've done. I think you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And you can't help all these other issues.
Right.
You couldn't help it when the city, without even coming talking to us, run a 10-foot corridor up the hollow, took the airport in the city without even coming down here and consulting us. I mean, you know, come on now. We built the airport, we get it up and running. City comes in, runs a utility corridor up and takes it in. So them side issues you can't handle.
Right.
I think you'll find it comes up on the agenda today that this body will support this concept.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody got any questions? If not, we'll move on and try to get us a budget. If not, thank you for coming before the body.
Thank you very much.
We will do. Go right ahead. Leo, you go right ahead.
One question, what's the airport board got in the bank? I mean, I believe the airport board or the city
We're going to
one.
take that up when we get down to it on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. And we have a copy of that, Magistrate Murphy. We can go ahead. Let's move that up, as Judge Hayes said, if it's all right with the body. Let's move it up and take action on it now. You have a resolution in your package that's been prepared of this project. Magistrate Murphy asked a question you have in your packet showing the amount of money that the Pike County Airport has in the bank. What we got from 2011 last week that they provided us, we thought we was going to have to go file under the Open Records Act, but we different. It was delivered to us. They have over $6 million in the bank. That don't show, and we couldn't find where they had received a payment from the city of Pikeville of more than $1 million on Marion's Branch. And that was this money that should have come back to the county and it should have been divided between the county, the city, and the airport board. But the previous chairman of the board had got some kind of letter or something from the federal agency that said any money in custody of an airport board was to stay in the custody of the airport board. And the city government, decided not to question that. So you have a copy. I'm going to ask Judge Hayes to read the... Roland, Mr. County Attorney, would you read that? Because you've been involved in this along with Judge Hayes, my staff, and the members of the court in regard to this.
Judge, this is the proposed resolution. It's a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court supporting efforts to obtain commercial air service for the Pike County Airport. Whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court was instrumental in the establishment of the Pike County Airport and has been a long-time supporter of same. And whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court supports diversification and promotion of economic opportunities in Pike County and eastern Kentucky, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court always supports any effort which would have a positive impact on the lives and well-being of the citizens of Pike County, as well as those who live throughout the eastern Kentucky region, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes the increasingly global nature of the economy which surrounds us, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court recognizes the need for Pike County and eastern Kentucky to become better connected to the global economy whenever and wherever possible, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court supports the establishment of competitively priced regional airline service at the Pike County Airport, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court is aware that the Pike County Airport Board has accumulated through diligent efforts in excess of $6 million, and whereas the Pike County Fiscal Court is of the opinion that a proper and reasonable use of the aforementioned fund is to support the effort to obtain commercial air service. Now therefore it be resolved that the Pike County Fiscal Court supports any effort to promote commercial air service at the Pike County Airport and supports the use of the funds of the Pike County Airport Board in order to accomplish same. That is the proposed resolution, which could be amended.
Do I have a motion, Magistrate Anderson?
Judge, I've got a couple of questions.
Go right ahead.
Gentlemen. Did the airport board, are they going to commit any money, or have you talked to them about this $6 million?
Well, my understanding, and I'm not personally familiar with a lot of the history of this $6 million, my understanding is that there are some restrictions on what they're able to do with it or how they're able to spend it. And that's why we went after the coal severance tax grant, because we felt that that money is earmarked by the state specifically for economic development purposes, and everybody felt that that was the better approach to take. So I'm not really the right person to ask about that $6 million, but to me, the challenge with the draft resolution that's in front of you is really in the very last sentence. And I appreciate the spirit of what is said in the resolution, but if we're going to be successful in getting this grant, we need to consider, if possible, a respectful amendment to that last sentence to reflect the multi-county coal severance tax grant.
I have some information that's not been provided you, and that is the chairman of the airport board attended the meeting, and I think you will concur with what I say. You heard it same as I did. Mr. Hickman said if the Pike County Fiscal Court was to use this money for jobs and infrastructure for economic development, that they would withdraw this request. Wasn't that what he said before he left and told us he had to leave?
Right.
You were present. You heard that.
I did. I'm not sure it was said exactly in that vein.
It may not said in a strong as manner that I did or my voice, but
right.
He said it. Mr. Hickman's not probably loud as I am, but he said they would not stand in the way of jobs in Pike County and the development properties to get jobs with the multi-county severance tax money is for the purpose of economic development.
That's right. I think he was referring specifically to that he and the airport board would not object to multi-county money being used for any purpose that would help create new jobs in the area. That's the way I understood it.
Okay. All right.
Judge, I'd like to make a comment before we vote. As long as I've been on the court, I've never seen the board come before the fiscal court yet and ask us to give them any input on how to spend their money.
Right.
And, you know, sounds like now they're wanting us to give them the okay, which we don't have any control over the airport board on how they do their affairs or what they do their money, use their money for. I would much rather see this coal severance money used for the promotion of tourism in Pike County. You know, we're talking about jobs.
Economic development.
Economic development. You know, that would get our jobs going if we had some money to promote our trail system, our tourism, and get things going in Pike County. But I am for anything that we can do to get a commercial air flight in the county, but I just don't understand the reasoning for this resolution right now. But I support, like you said, if we can get commercial air flight in Pike County, I think it would be a plus. And I just don't understand the money situation, why they're wanting the court to give them the okay to use that money or whatever, the funds, when they've never came before the court before. Thank you.
Any other matters?
Judge, I'd like to just say briefly, in an effort to try to be diplomatic about the whole thing, Mr. Schmidt and I had a conversation about the issue a couple of weeks back at the request of the Chamber Director, Brad Hall, asked me to meet with Mr. Schmidt and talk about this. My opposition to this proposal doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the city asked us to be a part of the grant application or not. It just has to do with the fact that I just don't think it's a very smart use of tax dollars. You said you had 2 carriers interested that you can't tell us who they are. Well, I'd say so. If we're guaranteeing their revenue, I can think of a lot of people who go into business if you guarantee their revenue. So the only way I would be in favor of commercial air service in Pike County is if it was self-supporting, if an airline decided that this was a good market, that they wanted to come in and start doing business here and provide a service to our community. That's the only way it's going to survive anyway. And if we supplement their income now to get them going, then in another year or 2 years, we're going to be supplementing their income again. So if it's a good idea and the airport board wants to put their money into it, then I say that that's what they should do. I can't say that I support it because I don't think that it's a good use of taxpayer dollars.
If I may respond to that very quickly, the model that we want to use, which is based on what was done in Manhattan, Kansas, essentially enables everybody to put together a contract with everything known up front, and the airline has a monthly revenue target that they want to meet. The revenue guarantee would be used only over the first 2 years. It would be a 2-year contract that we would propose. The revenue guarantee would be used only if each month when the airline reports its monthly revenue, if it were to fall short, then the money would be used to make up the shortfall. It would not be a blanket subsidy. We're not in favor of that. We want to get this carrier in here. We want to get them to a sustainable position as quickly as possible. In Manhattan, Kansas, admittedly a larger market, but about 100 miles west of Kansas City, similar to the 100-mile drive to Huntington, 100-plus miles to Charleston. What they did there is they were able to get service to Dallas with 2 flights a day. In the first 3 months, they did lose money. They expected that. But after that, it took off. And they added a flight to Dallas, and then they added 2 flights to Chicago. So they went from having no jet service, regional jet service, to now they have 5 jet flights a day to 2 huge hubs. And that's exactly what we want to try to replicate here. On a smaller scale. So if we're going to be successful with this effort to bring a carrier in, we're at a point where we simply need to try to get this grant application approved and hopefully get that done. It'll all be very transparent. And again, I respect that you would like to know who the carriers are. It's just like bringing in a new industry to the community. You just can't divulge those names until it gets to a certain point. But these are both quality carriers, and if we were able to get either one of them, I think you'd be very happy with it.
Judge Hayes was asking, he had a question to ask you and about your model in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, Manhattan, Kansas, they call that the Little Apple, and that's the home of Kansas State University, is it not?
Yes, and also Fort Riley.
And what is the population of the immediate surrounding area of Manhattan?
It's a little over 120, 130,000.
What's the population of Pike County, sir?
About 65,000, I believe.
With Pikeville, I think they put about 6,000 on their sign. How many students at Manhattan on a full-time basis? Kansas State, in other words.
Roughly 20 to 25,000 students.
Number of professors there, do you have any idea?
That I don't know. I mean, I said
all good jobs, all highly paid. I mean,
sure. No,
this goes without saying. In Manhattan, Kansas, they're not reliant upon a coal-based economy.
That's correct.
Probably farm.
When you get outside of the immediate area, it really drops off in population.
Other manufacturing facilities.
Light manufacturing, I would say.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Judge, I too support air service to Pike County, but if we're going to use it, I'd rather see it come out of that $6 million that's there already, because we got so many things in Pike County that we need right now, and we're going to have a whole lot more needs in the future for our tax money. And one thing is I've got an area that people don't have drinking water. We're hauling it to them, and that's a shame, you know. I got some money in this budget, and they tell me that won't even do it. So I think we got a whole lot more needs for severance money than what that's for.
Any other statement or questions?
Judge, I'd just like to kind of expand on what Leo said and what Hillman and Chris said. You know, Chris and I met with you a couple of weeks ago, and we touched on those issues as well. The need for sewer, the need for water, all the different uses of the multi-county money. But I have a problem. If you're going to, number one, if you're going to write a check for $1 million, I think we all need to know who the payee is going to be.
Sure. And that would you would know that up front. I just can't tell you today.
Well, to me, that's not very transparent. Okay. You use 2 words in your introduction. You use the word long shot and the word unproven. Mm-hmm. But you're needing $1 million. I'm not saying, I know your remarks were sincere. Mm-hmm. But I'm like the judge, we weren't included initially, and my understanding is from our conversation we had a couple of weeks ago that there are people who know who the airline carriers, the 2 are. Is that correct?
There are some, yes. It's a very limited number of people.
Correct. So I don't know why we need to why this court needs to be kept in the dark if we're going to be
Well,
asked to vote to commit $1 million of multi-county money.
I can tell you, if I were to divulge either name right now, both companies would say that's it, not interested in the market. It's a competitive issue. We've got to go back to both carriers with the very best offer that we can present. And then they have to decide, for once and for all, if Pikeville and Pike County fit in their expansion plans.
But I don't know who those airlines are.
Pardon?
I don't know who the airlines are. Does the city of Pikeville know?
Yes, sir, they do. And to be fair about it, Judge, to be fair about it, the city of Pikeville is one of my clients. I think there comes a point where you do have to share a couple of things with your client. But the point of it is, if either carrier were to see their name on the front page of the newspaper, that would just absolutely blow out of the water any chance this community would ever have of getting service. It's just like bringing in a new plant. For example, the Kellogg's plant that's in the county. I'm sure that when Kellogg's was thinking about coming here, they probably didn't want to read about it before they were ready to announce it. I've done economic development since the 1980s, and I've worked on industrial development, and companies don't want to read about what their expansion plans are until they're ready to announce them.
Does the airport board know?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're also one of my clients.
The airport board is one of your clients?
Yes.
Where do they stand on using, I know the judge mentioned earlier about using money. I wasn't sure if you're talking about the multi-county money or the airport board money for creating jobs, but what's their stance on using the money they have in the bank to, I mean, they could obviously write a check for $1 million today if they needed to.
Right.
What's their position on using their money to promote or to get the commercial air service going?
Well, as I said earlier, I really can't personally speak to the $6 million as to how it got there and what it's there for. My understanding is that there are restrictions in how they can use that money, and that they're not able to do that in this particular case. That's why we're going to have, if it were that easy, I think we would have already done it.
The airport board can't use airport board money to promote the airport.
As I said, and again, I'm not personally familiar with all of the ramifications, but my understanding is that there are some restrictions in what they can do or not do with that $6 million.
Mr. Smith, I want to commend you for the job you did on that study. I thought that you did a great job. I was involved in the first study. Mm-hmm. I caused the first study done through the ad district, and if I remember, is either my motion or second at the ad that got the original study done that designated this airport for this type of service. And that was the first study, and of course you incorporated that as part of yours and study, but you've done your job.
Thank you.
All these other side issues is not your fault, and you've done your job. We have a motion.
Judge, I'd like to ask him another question. You said you had a $150,000 grant. If it's
$750,000.
$750,000. Mm-hmm. If this resolution is not passed, does that mean we lose the grant?
It certainly could, because we predicated our application for that grant last year in that we would raise money locally as a match. And so, yes, we set forth that it would be our intent to go after the multi-county coal severance tax money. If we're not successful in raising this money through the coal severance tax, not only will you not get a carrier, but then we'll have to return that grant to the federal government. Some other airport will get to use it.
So what it boils down to, if you don't get to use coal severance money, then it's out. That's basically what the resolution.
It's going to be a lot harder.
It don't say that in the resolution, but that's what it means.
It's going to be a whole lot harder. If we can't access that money as part of our strategy, yes, it will be much, much harder to make this happen. Much harder.
Mr. Smith, that's another side issue. That money belongs to the city of Pikeville and Pike County government, this body here. It don't belong to the airport. They didn't buy the property. That's our position. Mm-hmm. That money ought to have been divided between the city of Pikeville and this Pike County Fiscal Court. We could have used that money. All of these people cut off and talking about water lines, talking about all the needs they have. But we could have used it, but that's not yours. That's a side issue. we have a suggestion, Magistrate Anderson, and that we add to this at the bottom of this resolution that to make it very clear, the Pike County Fiscal Court supports every effort to promote commercial airline service at the Pike County Airport Board and supports the use of funds of the Pike County Airport Board in order to accomplish it, but does not support the use of multi-county co-severance tax. Do I have a motion based
Judge,
upon
could I
Mr.
Judge,
County Attorney.
I got,
Go right ahead, Mr. Magistrate Johnson.
the only thing that I see in this, I've been on this court quite a few years. Looked like the airport board or somebody from that airport would come here and talk to us about this something. That's the only thing. I mean, they act like they're hiding something from us. Then they want our little co-tax money. They come to us. This city and this county is going to have to start working better together. Mm-hmm. And you go back and tell them I said this. Because I've never seen an airport. I've never seen no letters from it. I've never seen nothing from the airport or any project they're doing. They're a city. They're in Pike County. They go to the same courthouse we do. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have to start coming to us. Tell them to come and talk to us about something like this, and let's sit down like people, because this little co-tax money is all we got. Mm-hmm. And we want to know where it goes to help people. I'm not against the airport. Don't get me wrong on that. But they're going to have to be better.
Mr. Smith, we appoint those people.
We support
this body. We appoint them.
We just have to talk with them.
Sure. And again, I can't speak to all of the side issues that you've raised.
Vote for that.
You've done your job.
They're going to have to come here and talk to us. That's what they got to do.
Okay. Can you arrange or have the judge? You know, I've kind of was thinking the same thing Chick was thinking. Maybe we can get your clients, which are the airport board, the city of Pikeville, and the chamber,
correct,
together, mm-hmm. and try to, because you know we're getting in on the butt end of it, if you will.
This is a county and they're a city.
Yes, sir.
And I think, as the judge said, you know, we all want to see the city prosper, the county prosper, but I think we've got some grave reservations about using multi-county money for an airline service, which most likely, in my opinion, it's not going to be successful. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. And we've got people without city water, without city sewer, and we've got an airport board with $6 million in the bank. Mm-hmm. It's probably a unique situation. Yeah. But if we could, if the judge, if we could,
I'll be glad to continue working with them and involve you all every step of the way.
Why don't we do that and just table this issue until the next meeting?
Before you table it, I want to say one thing, and then I'll quit. Chick, if you can remember, Mike DeBourbon used to be the chairman of the airport board. And he would come to our meetings.
Come and tell us let us know what's going on.
And explain to the court what was going on each time they would have a problem or what they was wanting to do. But this court voted Mike off and put Mr. Blackburn in his place a few years ago. And, we've not heard anything from him since.
See, county and city should work together better than this. I mean, these people, these miners, this money comes from these people working in these mines. And we, in this court here, we're the one that have to say so where it goes and where it goes to, which I'm not against the airport. I'd be glad to see the biggest airplane in the country to land down there. But this ain't no, city wants it all. They don't want to give us nothing.
We have Magistrate Anderson's suggestion.
Judge,
we have a resolution. I don't have a motion yet to put it on the floor. If I get a motion to go on the floor, get a motion in second, then we'd have a vote on it. But if we don't get a motion, we got to have a motion first.
Judge, I'd like to make one statement, just as a correction to my good friend Magistrate Dotson. The court did not vote Mike DeBourbon off. He was removed by the city of Pikeville.
Well, we had a chance to vote a replacement for him, didn't we? Could we put him back on?
No, that was a city appointment. That he was not a county appointment.
Well, we had to vote for it if it was an appointment from the city.
Not how
Well, I think we voted to put Lyle in his place.
Well, what you did, you voted to approve the nomination of Lyle Blackburn by the city.
So if we didn't approve it, then it wouldn't have happened. Is that right?
That would have been open to discussion of whether or not the city appointment required county approval or not. I think actually the bylaws say that it's a joint appointment by the city and the county.
Yeah, that's what it said. It's a joint appointment, so we had to approve it.
What is your pleasure? I'll make a motion to see if their second comes. If not, we'll pass it to the next meeting. Have a second, we'll take a roll call vote on it. Up to you all. If we get a second, we'll do it. If not, we'll pass it. We'll pass it to the next meeting, and we will have a meeting set up between the bodies as recommended by Magistrate Anderson.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
We will get back to the purpose of being here today, and that's to get a budget. We got to get this other out of the way. We got to approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2012 meeting. You have a copy in your packet.
I make a motion we approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2012 fiscal court.
Got a motion to approve. Have a second. Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yeah. I need an acknowledged receipt of the 2012-2013 budget. The Appalachian Industrial Authority, we own 25% of it. The Gateway Park at Jenkins.
Motion.
Have a motion. Have a second. Have a second, Magistrate Johnson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. We have a need to approve an appointment of administrative assistant to comply with state guidelines. It's an employee in Doug's office. The state tells him that he has to be an assistant for the local emergency management. And that's what we have to do to comply?
Yeah, we need to appoint Rachel to that position. That way we can get reimbursement off part of her salary from the state.
Motion.
So we need a motion to, it's no new position. It's
Got
just,
a motion and second.
got a motion, have a second?
Yeah.
Have a
we got
second?
it.
Is Rachel going to come completely out of emergency management now, or is she still going to have 911 and?
She'll still have part of all of it, but,
Okay, we'll figure out the ratio.
okay.
Have a motion, a second, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, the only thing I say is, Judge, we be on these cutbacks and everything. I thought we said we wasn't going to hire nobody. Right?
It's not hard, and this does not hire a new employee. Change the name.
How much more money is going to cost the county?
It costs less money. Okay. It costs less money. We get, or wait a minute.
I still want no more.
It's on paper only, so we can get more money back from the state
Well, give me some.
for Doug's emergency management.
So your vote is yes. Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Next, we have on the agenda the adoption of resolution supporting the application of
one.
Multnomah County Coal Severance Tax Fund for Phase 2 of the Scott Fork Industrial
He got
Park
that one. He missed this.
and other money that's needed for economic development and jobs, and that means water, sewer, electrical, and this is the area that we need to complete. EQT's on the right-hand side. You see the pictures on the monitor, and this develops that and gets the utilities to it. Mr. Carlton dealing with two different companies. Matter of fact, there are three involved in this. We also, we will sometime in the future have a natural gas service station. It won't happen tomorrow, but we're very close to an announcement of possibly getting the first one in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, a natural gas service station. in this area. So what we want to do, we have talked to the Office of Local Government and advised them 2 months ago that we would be submitting an application to them for multi-county co-severance tax to complete the infrastructure. There was no money placed in for infrastructure on our severance tax money, and that's fine. We had other uses with what we got, but this would get it from multi-county. That's the purpose of the multi-county. Under the Multi-County Act, it says, as it's been repeated here, for economic development and jobs. So that I make the motion that we submit that. It's only submit an application only. It's up to the governor. It's that discretionary money that Magistrate Murphy talked about recently and said it's up to the governor who gets that money. So we do have a meeting next week with the governor, and hopefully that and other issues that we can be successful and get the infrastructure put in. And I'll bring the motion to the floor. Do I have a second? Second from Magistrate Robinson. I have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Now, what I want to bring up, and I'm going to do it before we get to the next thing, close out on the budget. If you put those pictures, Penny, back up on up here of this, everybody knows what's happened since we had the Hatfield-McCoy thing on national television, and I was able to go to Huntington to the premiere of it, and we all know what's happened. Our Pike County Tourism Director came and gave us an update, and we know that their marathon was up this year. 40 states, more than 40 states was involved in it, but we had received calls that everybody wanted to see where Frank Phillips was buried. And Nancy, everybody remembers Nancy in the movie. Now, so having said that, this movie was by a West Virginia director, a writer from West Virginia, and not to go into it again, but it was a West Virginia story told about the Hatfield. About 80% was right, about 20% was wrong. They portrayed Perry Klein. Perry Klein was not the type of fellow they portrayed him, neither was Randall McCoy. What all I've read and everybody else, all the historians that I have looked that I can quote, said the man didn't even drink. He wasn't a user. He made moonshine. Everybody else made their own. The government put everybody out of the moonshine business. Bobby went into it themselves and put a tax on it. But this cemetery, Hillman, they got a hold of Hillman. Hillman went over there, said there was 6 cars parked down at the bottom trying to walk that mountain. Sunny Ridge Coal Company had mined over there, and there was Hope Potter, and they had a reclamation job on it. The road was blocked, couldn't get a vehicle up it, pretty far up on the hill. So Hillman got involved, and he talked with me. I talked to Hatcher, and then Hillman, I'm going to let you take it from there and tell what transpired. Judge Hayes was involved because Hillman got him involved of getting the jail people over there to help get the fence straightened up, the weeds cut, and so forth. So go ahead.
Judge, I'd like to say that we have a few people here today that represents Phelps on their historical society. We've got Gaino Stilton and his wife, Debbie. Debbie is a history teacher with the Phelps High School, and she's here today to do a little history presentation. And we also have Chris Coleman and his wife, which Chris is a local barber over there, and he's took a lot of interest in doing some study on the history of the cemetery. But Debbie had came to the courthouse about 2 weeks ago, and she was getting a lot of people calling, wanting to locate the grave. And Debbie had been up there several years ago and taken some pictures in probably '94. So it had all grown up since then, and she wanted to go up and see if we could find the grave. So last Sunday, a week ago, we went over there and we were able to find the grave with the help of the people that lived there. So I think right now, with the communications that we've had with you and your office, and we want to commend Brandon for taking the pictures. He's done a fine job on promoting this. And, we're probably about 75% on the road. And we have been fortunate to have the inmates come over and do the mowing and cleaning off of the grave. And probably another half a day, they'll be finished up with it. But hopefully, once we get this completed, that we can get this on the register. It's not on the historical register as I know of right now. And I'd like
don't
for
know where
like
it is
for
or not. That's probably something we need to take up with the tourism, and we can do that. Debbie, if you come around if you want to. This meeting is the purpose of the budget, but we'll give you, you can come around and make any statement or ask us any questions. We're just like you are. We want to see that this is promoted in the right way. This county is made up of Hatfields and McCoys, as we know. They have intermarried since then, and it's all, everybody gets along in those generations. But the 20% that was not correct about that certainly will be corrected in the future. I think there are people right now looking to tell the McCoy side or the fact side about this story. Devil Ants, when they raised the question about the 55 trees that they'd cut on Mr. Hatfield's property in West Virginia. The Hatfield judge gave the 5,000 acres to Devil Ants. And I mean, that's by records over there. And that's the reason that Perry Klein came over here. Perry Klein's family became one of the most respected families in this county. He was a public official of this county. He was well respected. We understand from his great-grandchildren that they are very upset about this film portraying him as the villain. He was not. He was so popular in this county, he had been dead. If you look at the tombstone, the date on it, and then you go over here during the WPA and the recession we had in the 30s, and you see they even built a building that many years after him for the colored school here in Pike County, and the Perry Klein School. So he was that much a community leader and a governmental leader and a caring fellow that even all those years he had been dead, they turn around and name a school building after him. That school building is still over there on the bypass, and if you look on top of the stone, it's got the date on it, and it's got the Perry Klein School, WPA. And that was in the early 30s that building was constructed over there. So we as a body are supporting the Pike County tourism. I'll give the court a little information I have. In the 12 days after that was shown on national television, they did $9,000 worth of business out of their gift shop. That was more money than the whole year last year. They have given 7 bus tours on the Pikeville side, 7 bus tours. My wife wanted to take it, and of course I went with her. And we was the only 2 local people on it. There was the senator from Boyd County and his son. There was a couple from Elizabeth Trown sat across from us, a couple from Pennsylvania, people from Louisville, people from Virginia. West Virginia car was parked, I noticed when I parked. So Debbie, we want you involved, and all of you people over there. As Hillman said, they over here, but you got a lot that happened over on that section of Blackberry, and of course it goes over into Peter Creek. So we as a court, and Chris Harris had made that statement about the last court meeting of how we feel. We look at tourism as economic development, and we look at this opportunity. Jim Anderson told me this morning that there's a lot of damage and that that the tombstone over there, and we'll have to see if we can get that tombstone repaired, Frank's tombstone. Has it? Okay. So that it needs to be, and a lot more work, as Hillman said, they're not through yet either, and that will become part of the tour. Now, the tour started 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Betty Phillips Hard was the narrator, and Magistrate Harris, and that was proper, that he recognized Judge Gibson for what she had done, but they started these tours over there. And they had Jimmy Wolford was their advisor of Magistrate Harris back then in regard to the Hatfield and McCoy feud and what was in this county. And he narrates, and those are available, and we'll get you all some copies so you can use them over there and give them out of that tour. But that tour has to be adjusted some because of the cemetery, and make sure that they get to the cemetery in the future. So the tour took about 3.5 to 4 hours when you had the local tour here, and then you took the tour over there. So this tour here lasted about 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Judge, just to tell you briefly about the economic impact, not only of the visitors that are coming here, but we've had 2 or 3 businesses start up that I'm aware of since we've got a guided tour business. A young man in our area went out and bought a van. He's given guided tours now of, it's called the Hatfield McCoy Guided Tours, all the feud sites. We've got a T-shirt company that's opened up. They're selling T-shirts all over the country. So it's really
But we
taking
need
off. people
people like these, the Colemans and Debbie and their families, to become involved with us, and we'll see that our tourism people gets in touch with you all. Before you leave, Hillman we can get in touch with you through Hillman. We'll have Mr. Tackett get in touch with you and make you all a part of this as we move forward. Okay? All right. Now let's.
They want to
go ahead. Anybody else if you want to say anything, come on around. I'll ask you, any of you, if you want to. You'll need to come around because you're on Pike TV, and they need to have. We don't need to have these. Bobby points at me sometime. No.
We just basically wanted to come over and tell you how much we appreciate our magistrate, Hilma Dotson, and the court, and everyone that's been involved in helping us get a access road to the Frank Phillips Cemetery over in the Peter Creek area. This project's dear to me. I've taught Kentucky Studies for several years, and I feel very strongly that it's our responsibility to preserve our heritage and to pass it on to our children. And Judge, I'm a Hatfield descendant. I am Wall Hatfield's great-great-great-granddaughter.
What about that?
But I think that, this is one of these situations where there was right and wrong on both sides.
Both sides.
And I think there was some misinformation in the movie. Of course, I think they had to sensationalize it some to make it maybe a little more interesting. But we do appreciate the work that you all are doing to get this information out to the people, and it's something that I think we can benefit from greatly. This is Chris Coleman, and he wants to speak also. Thank you very much.
Let me say that we love the Hatfields and the McCoys, so you'll know. And let me say this. When I-66 comes through here, and that's an act that's passed by Congress, and it states where the road comes, and it's going to have an exit over there. And this Hatfield and McCoy will not only be a national, it will be an international tourist attraction in future years. No doubt about that. And I think it's up to people like you all and us in the leadership and our tourism people and everybody to make sure that when that time comes that we're ready to take advantage of it. Go right ahead, please.
I appreciate the introduction. I don't know that I really wanted to speak this morning, but I did prepare a couple notes in case I had to. It was sort of off the cuff last week that Hillman called after we'd been working on the grave and everything, and said, Mountain News is coming out. We need you to get up here and talk to them and tell them a little bit about it. And I thought, well, hey, I ain't got anything ready here, so I wanted to be ready this morning. But I'll just read you this. This is something I prepared to read. Good morning, members of the court. Thank you for the opportunity to address the court this morning in this important meeting. My name is Chris Coleman, and I'm the owner of Chris's Barbershop in Phelps, Kentucky, and I also reside there. First of all, I want to say that I'm here to lend support to the notion of putting Frank Phillips Cemetery, located at Phillips Branch, Phelps, Kentucky, on the official register of historic places and on the local tourism maps. I believe a state marker should be placed there. I also have taken off work this morning because I believe that this is important for the members of our community and also the business owners like myself to take the opportunity to highlight all of the area in a positive way. And since the Hatfield-McCoy movie, there's been a tremendous amount of excitement surrounding the feud. In fact, it's been estimated that we've received more than $120 million in free advertising for the feud sites. With all of the tourism coming in and all the news media constantly buzzing nationally about the movie, I believe it would be foolish of us to let this tremendous enthusiasm and interest about the feud dwindle away because we were unprepared or offer an incomplete travel map and destination. Having said that, I have personally visited most of the feud sites in both states lately. Some of the places were in excellent condition, example being the Deal Cemetery in Pikeville and the Randall McCoy home place at Hardy, Kentucky. I must commend the caretakers of the Deal Cemetery and Mr. Neil Warren and his family, who give us a very warm welcome when we went over to the well and the home place of Randall McCoy's, and the site is in excellent condition, and I'll commend them for that. But they are very beautiful points of interest, and that's the way we would like to have this cemetery be at Phelps. However, the cemetery, as you've seen in the pictures, it was overgrown. The tombstone had separated from the sand itself, and there was no markers or access from the road. Now, I'll say on Sunday, Debbie and Pete Woodford, I'll mention his name too, he's been instrumental in this. He was the former high school music teacher at Phelps, and he has had a lot of interest in this also. And anyway, we got together on Father's Day on Sunday, and Hillman took about 4 hours out of his time on Father's Day, and we thank him for that, for coming out and helping us find the cemetery. And the local people was really excited about it and tickled to death that there was a lot of interest in it. Like Hillman said, I've been back up there since they've been working. It's to see the difference already, it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle to see the difference, but I can really see a vision for that. But also, too, not to take too much time here, but I went over to the Coal House in Williamson, which is their tourism department, and in Matewan to the Depot replica, which is a tourism there. And they're having massive numbers of people, too. I mean, it's unbelievable. When we went over to Devil Anser's grave in West Virginia, there was people from Bristol, Tennessee, people from Hazard, Kentucky. We've seen registers where Ontario, Canada's been here. I even met one lady, her husband was from D.C., they live in North Carolina now, and she was originally from England. So people was excited about it. Whether the story in the movie is necessarily factually correct or not, there's interest in the area. Now, as far as tourism goes, this should be our springboard. What time we've got all this interest in the area, let's sell people on the breaks, let's sell them on whitewater rafting at Elkhorn, let's sell them on Matewan, let's sell them on the whole area as a region. And that's what I've been working with. I talked over to the tourism office this morning. I stopped over there and talked to the director over there, and they told me they was really excited about that. I talked to them in Matewan, they're excited. I talked to them in Williamson. I think that that everything from Logan to the state line here can package this area as a tourist destination, and that's what I'm trying to work on with that, not to take up too much time. But I'm actually working on setting up a website called discoverhatfieldmccoy.com, and it'll be a website that allows all nonprofits, all railroad museums, any type of like the Brakes Park, any type of thing like that, the Heritage Museum here in town, they can all put their link on there. I want to have a map with a detailed printable map where people can go and print all the feud sites off, have everything about the feud on it as a springboard to boost tourism for the whole area. And I'm working on that, but hopefully 2 weeks that'll be up and going. And of course, businesses will have what to do while you're here, what else we offer besides the feud, where to stay, lodging, all that. that businesses will be able to have a link to, and they'll be able to pay like $15 a month to be on there, and it'll be easy for everybody to get onto. That's what we're working on right now.
Thank you all, and we look forward to working with you. Be glad to. Hillman,
Judge,
thank you. You jumped on it right quick.
Well, you know,
always get the job done.
I like to say that Betty Howard, you mentioned her a while ago, her and Judge Gibson. You know, they were real instrumental, and Betty come over and located this grave probably 12, 15 years ago. And she told me, she said, you know, I found the grave, but we've got to make a road to it. And the coal company were in process of mining the coal at the time. So they've done mined the coal, and they reclaimed the property. And I would like to see if the court could work on acquiring the property from the coal company to make this a place that we can develop. You know, it's got some real nice looking areas there that we could do things with. And
who bought Sunny Ridge? Who owns it now?
Well, I think it went to ICG, and then probably Arch might own it now.
Arch owns it then. So
and, this might be something that they want to turn over.
Set a meeting up, notify Magistrate Dotson, and set a meeting up for us with Charles Carlton, and we need to make a request for that total piece of property over there, don't we?
Yeah, and also, Judge, you know, I don't want to take up a lot of time. I know we're running late, but our trail system that's been mapped by Summit takes in all these sites, the baby's grave, Frank Phillips Cemetery, it goes right by it, and you know, that's something we can add.
We need to look and see how many acres that Arch controls over there in that Phillips Branch area.
But Judge, I'll close out by saying that I'm hoping that in probably 2 or 3 weeks we'll have this project completed, and you and the people can come over and do a little ribbon cutting or something on this project, because it's well needed, and the people in the area know that we're still interested and try to promote this.
We'll be glad to do that. Let's get back to what we're here today for, and that's to get a budget for next year.
Judge?
And what do you have?
Did you omit the purpose?
She told me that I missed the acknowledgement of the budget for the Big Solidarity Community Action Program. The court's aware that we provide them under the federal code. We have to provide them with percentage, either money or in kind. We provide them a place. They're in the courthouse annex on Ferguson Creek, and we pay their utilities. I think it's around 20-some% that each county has to either give them cash or in kind. So that's our in kind. So they help people that fallen through the crack. Carl can tell you that we call on them, we work with them. And the LIHEAT program, I had told Brandon to see if he could get how much money that goes to our people each year through the LIHEAT program. But we just need to acknowledge that, but the people need to know that this court is involved with the Community Action Program. Carl is our appointee on the board, and she's active in it. We have a motion, have a second, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Madam Treasurer, I'm going to go to you next, so then we'll get the budget and adjourn. I'll get that plan too. I'll get the 5-year thing. Madam Treasurer.
Authorize any necessary transfers and interfund transfers to pay the bills, payroll, health and life insurance, and for the close of the fiscal year 2011-2012.
Motion to pay the bills. Master Johnson, second Master Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's April 2012 financial statement. The other will be in next month.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion. Master Johnson, have a second. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Yes. Mr. Murphy, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dodson,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Judge Ruth.
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of transfers and interfund transfers for April 17th. There were none for April 27th, and the others will be coming with the next meeting.
Have a motion. Have a second. Mr. Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Assistant County Attorney, will you have the second reading and adoption of the Budget Amendment Number 8 for the fiscal year 2011-2012?
Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, this is the second reading of an ordinance relating to fiscal year 2011-2012 annual budget and amendment thereof. In summary form, Section 1, Sub A, receipts, total amended revenues, $440,563. Section 1, Sub B, appropriations, total amended appropriations, $440,563. It has been duly advertised, would require a motion, second majority vote.
Second reading, need a motion and a second. Have a motion. Have a motion, have a second. Mr. Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes.
Assistant County Attorney, in order to close the fiscal year and bring in as much as I can of the revenue, in order, if you're going to spend it, you have to have it amended in to close out the fiscal year, and that this would be an emergency budget amendment, which would mean it would not go to Frankfurt and come back. It would be signed off on the judge and adopted today.
Mr. County Attorney.
Yes, Judge. Pursuant to KRS 67.078, we can, by a majority of the fiscal court, declare an emergency to exist by naming and describing an emergency and adopt a county ordinance to address that emergency without regard to the requirements of KRS 67.077, which basically means we could adopt it on an emergency basis without it being advertised or approved by the local finance officer. The emergency, as the treasurer indicates, would be there is not sufficient time to advertise prior to the end of this fiscal year, and desire to do this on an emergency basis in order to close out the fiscal year. That would be the emergency stated. In summary form, it's an ordinance relating to fiscal year 2011-2012 annual budget and amendment thereof. Section 1A, total amended revenues of $599,860.16. Total amended appropriations, $599,860.16. This would require a motion, a second, and a majority vote of the fiscal court.
Have a motion. Got a motion, Mr. Robinson. Have a second, Mr. Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Madam Treasurer.
Now that we've had the second reading and final adoption of Amendment Number 8, had the amount to pass through to the Eastern Kentucky Expo there, I need authorization to pass through the funds to the East Kentucky Expo Center A377. It has been received in the amount of $200,000 to them.
Motion.
Have a motion by Master Anderson. Have a second. Have a second. Have a roll call vote. That makes $1,200,000 that this court, since I've been here this time, has put in the Expo Center. I've said it before, the city of Pike will put zero in it. They gave them $100,000 a year and took it back for utilities. This body is the one that kept the doors open on the Expo Center. And not us, I'm talking about our legislators, the senator and 2 representatives. And then the fiscal court is the one that each time the door's about to close, they come in and say, we've got to move this money around so we can get it. So this money will be delivered under a new statute. Judge Hayes and I became members of that board. It's changed. There are 2 members from the county by statute, from the county, 2 from the city, and was it 2 from the state. Now the board has changed, and we held our first organizational meeting last week. And so we only have oversight, I understand, and we have an opinion from Attorney General, but we certainly will exercise that oversight simply because that's our duty. We have a fiduciary duty under the statute to make sure that is operated properly, but that makes $1,200,000 since going on 5 years that we've been here, that we've kept the doors open. So with this passed, I will deliver that check to the chairman of the board of the center. So we have a motion and second. Have a roll call vote. Motion was by Minister Anderson. I have a second.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
I hope it'll pay off one of these days.
Well, as Minister Johnson said before, he is not the only one that they had convinced they wouldn't come and ask for any more money. They passed taxes, they did everything, and said, we can take it, we can make it work, and we didn't think they'd come for more money, but we found out when the legislature met, they was right back asking to be subsidized with coal severance tax money. But this is all the money that comes through us. This is it.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dotson?
Yes, I'd also like to explain my vote, Judge. I'm glad you pointed out to the people that these funds were allocated to the legislators, not the fiscal court.
Correct.
You know, I was for the center from the get-go, and I think it's a good thing. But you know, when the city took it over, everything was going to be run by them, and they knew how to make it go. But evidently, it didn't work, and I don't know. But I hope, like Chick said, maybe they'll start making money one of these days. My vote's yes.
Madam Clerk.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
And Judge Rutherford?
Madam Treasurer.
Authorize the treasurer to open a new checking account for the flex card funds the monies to be deposited into, which would require the judge and treasurer's signature.
Have a motion. Have a motion. Have a second. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
In the information I passed out to you, we need to adopt the new wage rates for the fiscal year 2012-2013, or do you want me to hold off on this till we do the budget?
Have a motion.
Do I need to wait and this is maybe do we need to do the budget first and then do this? I think we need to do the budget first, then do
County
this.
Attorney, we need to do the budget first.
I don't think it would be necessary to do the budget first. This basically is putting into effect a 2% raise. I understand the treasurer's hesitation. I don't think it makes any difference. We'll just wait till after the budget if you want to.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, under additional treasurer's business, I forgot to put the all-important thing of pay the expenditure approval list dated Friday, June 22nd on the list. And in having looked over it this weekend and today, the 911 pictometry share did not get put in on the bill list, which is $10,305.18 that needs to be added to the bill list. This is the 5th year of the flyover. The GIS part's in there, but the pictometry did not end up on there. The clerk's supplement needs to be, that we pass through to her at the close of the fiscal year, needs to be increased by $2,841, which is the balance on the wrecked vehicle and where we paid a record bill for. So that needs to be passed to her also. The sheriff's supplement was shorted by $42,012. The sheriff's supplement will be increased by that amount because we have to recode cars that are coming from coal severance tax that are in another line item in the amount of $42,012. That's the only things I have.
Have a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendation. Motion from Mr. Robinson. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
I want to make sure I know what we're voting. Is this the bill list plus the additional? Okay, I'm on the board of directors for CAECO and the Kentucky Cole County Coalition, both of which are payees, so I'll abstain.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. I might add, Madam Chair, that's called house cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing I'd like to do is bring you all up to date on the sale of the dump trucks and solid waste transfer trucks at auction at J.M. Wood. We bought the dump trucks at $121,643 each, which was a total of $729,858. They all sold total for $683,085. The interest charged and the cleanup for them, we ended up, the trucks lost about an average of $10,949, but that's about the average we've lost for the last how many years we've been doing it. They brought a better rate. The largest one we got was $116,250. The lowest was $111,600 of the 121. So we did a really good job recouping our money there. The solid waste department did even better. I think we should invest more in transfer trucks. The solid waste purchased 2 of them at $138,898. They each sold for $138,570. Almost what we paid for them, less the interest and the cleanup, and we had to buy some tires. So they lost an average per truck of $4,055 in a year. For the overall loss, which we anticipate, of $73,808.11, which is wear and tear that we're not maintaining on them for a year. This was a very good auction. Jim Dotson was very pleased with it. It's probably the best return we've had on our money in the whole time we've been doing it.
Yeah, it had a lot more in repair. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. We need to acknowledge the receipt of a draft of Pike County Solid Waste Program and authorize the county judge executive to sign it. It's not quite complete. Kevin Hurd and Jerry has it. As soon as he completes it, he locks about 3 more steps, then authorize me to sign it.
Motion.
Have a motion. Have a motion. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Mr. County Attorney and Treasurer, now let's get to the budget, authorizing the submission.
Judge, yes, before I have the second reading of the budget, sometimes they say if you don't toot your own horn, it doesn't get tooted, and I think that the treasurer and the finance director deserve some kudos for the budget. It's my understanding that of all the budgets from all the counties sent down there, there was a very few of them that came back with no changes. What was the number, Rhonda or Jonda?
Yes, sir.
Out of the budgets that were sent down there, you told me some number that came back that.
Whenever I spoke with Matt Froelich, because I hadn't heard from him after he had gotten all the information to make sure everything was there and get it expedited to get it signed, he said of the 40 counties he's assigned to, he had approved 40 budgets, and we were one of the 4 of the 40 that he had no exceptions with, that went through as they were presented.
Let's give our budget office, as a county attorney, a hand. Madam Treasurer, Finance Director, and staff. If we had if we had our hats on today, Bobby would throw them up in the air.
Judge, this is a second reading of the proposed budget in summary form. It has been, as we've indicated, approved by the local finance officer and been duly advertised in the new Pike County News Express, the largest paid circulation in Pike County. In summary form, the budget has been available to both the media and the public in the clerk's office. Total budgeted appropriations Total general fund, $7,137,775. Total road fund, $9,600,645. Total jail fund, $4,849,963. Total LGEA fund, $6,361,894. Total federal grant fund, 0. Total forestry fund, $28,531. Total solid waste fund, $6,349,441. Total LGEDF fund, $388,760. Total maintenance garage fund, $1,559,665. Grand total of all funds, $36,276,674. Estimated receipts and summary forms. Total general, $7,137,775. Total road, $9,800,845. Total jail, $4,849,963. Total LGEA, $6,361,894. Total forestry, $28,531. Total solid waste, $6,349,441. Total LGEDF, $388,760. Total maintenance garage, $1,559,665. Total estimated receipts of $36,276,874. As previously indicated, this has been approved as the form by the local finance office, been duly advertised. It would require a motion, second, and majority vote.
We have a motion. Have a motion, Magistrate Robbins, second from Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson? Magistrate Murphy? Yes. Magistrate Robinson? Magistrate Dotson?
Yes.
Magistrate Harris?
I want to explain my vote. I'm going to vote no, but I do want to explain the reasons for my vote. As I said, when we talked about the budget at the first reading, and we're talking about when we were putting it together, I think the expenditures that we have in this budget for our employee raises are too liberal. I would like to see things done for the county employees just like everybody else would. But in light of the news that we just received, that Alpha has laid off so many employees in Pike County, and the fact that we're going to lose over the next 12 months a total of $4 million in coal severance money that they paid into the severance fund. Now, all that won't come back to the county, but there will be a significant impact on our county budget. Other counties around us are reducing the amount of revenue that they're showing. I know Martin County, I believe they're reducing their income by 20% that they're showing for coal severance revenue. So the outlook for coal and coal severance that we rely so greatly upon in our budget is not good. And over the next 12 months, during the course of this budget cycle, we're going to be faced with that. And I think giving employees a raise at a time when it's not a guess anymore, we know these things are going to happen. At a time that we know our financial condition is deteriorating and is bleak, I think it's irresponsible, and I can't vote for it, so I vote no.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Motion to adjourn. Wait a minute. Go back over to the. You got any personnel? Madam Treasurer, go right ahead.
Go to my packet I gave you all.
Yes.
There is. If you go to the packet I presented you, next to the last page is the 2012-2013. Let me get where I was here. 2012-2013 wage rates using the old base, given the 2% for the new base. We need to adopt these wage rates for the 2012-2013 for the county employees and set the pay period date that the rates take effect, which is the first 2 weeks in first full 2 weeks in July 2012, begins with July 8th, and this will be on the first paycheck in August 2012.
Is that all right now, Madam Treasurer? Need a road work?
We'll need a motion and a vote on it.
Right there it is.
You want to vote on it, don't you?
Madam Treasurer, need a
Need a
motion?
motion, John?
Yes, sir.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion to have a second. Mr. Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Yes. Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
No.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Road work, Magistrate Anderson.
Motion.
Motion, Magistrate Anderson, have a second. Have a second. Magistrate Robinson, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
Yes.
We got bids.
Do we have any bids?
Yes, Judge. We've got our annual June bids for materials, and then also we've got 3 flood work bids. I'll read the material bids first. The first bid is for bid number 23 for blacktop. We received 1 bid from Mountain Enterprise of Lexington. It is recommended that we award the bid for blacktop to the above listed vendor. Bid number 24 is for hardware items and small tools. We received 10 bids: Bartley Hardware of Pikeville, Elkhorn City True Value of Elkhorn City, J.D. Westcott of South Williamson, Justice Supply Company of Pikeville, Lowe's of Pikeville, RGB Plumbing Supply of Belfry, Riverside Supply of Regina, SFE Hardware of Phelps, Thompson's Hardware of Zebulon, and Tri-County Hardware of Kemper. It is recommended we award the bid to all the above listed vendors. The next bid is bid number 25 for lubricants. Received 2 bids: Apollo Oil of Winchester and Childers Oil Company of Whitesburg. It is recommended to award the bid to all the above listed vendors. Bid number 26 is for off-road diesel. Received 2 bids: Jones Oil Company of Pikeville and Rogers Petroleum of Pikeville. It is recommended to award the bid to all the above listed vendors. Bid number 27 is for office supplies. Received 5 bids: Ashland Office of Ashland, CNR Office Supply of Pikeville, East Kentucky Chemical of Pikeville, Office Depot of Lexington, and Stationers Incorporated of Huntington. It is recommended to award the bid to all the above listed vendors. Bid number 28 is for uniforms. Received 7 bids: Aramark Uniform Services of Pikeville, Bluegrass Uniforms of Bowling Green, Kentucky Uniforms of Lexington, Riverside Supply of Regina, the Uniform Shop of Pikeville, U.S. Cavalry of Radcliffe, and Wright's Designs of Jenkins. It is recommended to award the bid to all the above listed vendors. Bid number 29 is for concrete. Received 2 bids: the Wells Group of West Liberty and Right Way Ready Mix of Dorton. It is recommended to award the bid to all the above listed vendors. And bid number 30 is for sodium chloride reverse osmosis. Received 1 bid from Southern Appalachian Mine Supply of Knoxville, Tennessee. It is recommended to award the bid to the above listed vendor.
Make a motion to approve the recommendation of the purchasing agent.
Motion.
Motion by Magistrate Murphy, second by Magistrate Robinson. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Judge Rutherford?
I also have the 3 flood work bids. We lock these bids in place every year just in case we do have a flood. The first bid is for gabion wire baskets in place, bid number 31. Received 14 bids. Blue Ridge Enterprise of Williamson, $124. Chris Construction of Canada, $177.50. Hall's Construction of Pikeville, $123.50. Hess Contracting of Pikeville, $375. Jackie D. Smith Enterprises of Phelps, $173.49. Jared's Construction of Pikeville, $175. JBC Incorporated of Pikeville, $300. Labco LLC of Elkhorn City, $120. Markel Enterprise of Litcar, $130. Norson Enterprise of Freeburn, $150. Pikeville Paving of Raccoon, $150. Prater Construction of Pikeville, $175. Strata Services of Virgie, $152. And Tri-State Guardrail of Pikeville, $165. It is recommended to award the bid to the lowest bidder, which is Labco LLC, having the lowest evaluated bid price of $120 a cubic yard. And also, due to the amount of flood work when we have one and time constraints to finish it, any of the other bidders that can match the lowest bidder's price, that we make them an approved backup bidder. Bid number 32 is for drilled steel, received 5 bids. Blue Ridge Enterprise of Williamson, $31 a foot. Jackie D. Smith Enterprise of Phelps, $42.99 a foot. King Creek Drilling of Zoe, Kentucky, $29.95 a foot. Natco Incorporated of Stanville, $33.50. And Tri-State Guardrail Pikeville submitted a no bid. It's recommended to award the bid to the lowest bidder, which was King Creek Drilling, having the lowest evaluated bid price of $29.95 per foot. And also, due to time constraints and amount of work, any other bidders that can match the lowest bidder's price be an approved backup bidder. Bid number 33 is for grouted riprap in place, received 13 bids. Blue Ridge Enterprise of Williamson, $66 a cubic yard. Chris Construction of Canada, $63.49. Hall's Construction of Pikeville, $53.50. Hess Contracting of Pikeville, $300. Jackie D. Smith Enterprise of Phelps, $73.49. Jared's Construction of Pikeville, $59.50. JBC Incorporated of Pikeville, $300. Labco LLC of Elkhorn City, $225. Norson Enterprise of Freeburn, $55. Pikeville Paving of Raccoon, $80. Prater Construction of Pikeville, $100. Strata Services of Virgie, $110. And York Smith's Construction of Pikeville, $60. It is recommended to award the bid to the lowest bidder, which is Hall's Construction, having the lowest evaluated bid price of $53.50 per cubic yard. And also, due to the amount of work, once we have a flood, that any bidders that can match the lowest bidder's price be an approved backup bidder.
Frankie, just to clarify, when you say backup bidder, the low bidder gets to work unless there's too much for him to do, and then
Right.
you go to the backup bidders. But
Right.
the low bidder gets to work initially, and then only if there's excess work do you go to the backup.
Right, we either have at the same price, right?
Same price.
You still use the low bidder first. The low bidder gets used first.
Correct.
Yes.
Probably would need to get them to sign off, they have too much to do or something maybe, unless there's a.
Do we have a motion to approve? Have a motion, have a second with Mr. Murphy, have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Murphy? Mr. Robinson? Mr. Dodson? Mr. Harris? Judge Rutherford?
Yes. Personnel. Do it.
Judge, each magistrate has a personnel agenda in their packet unless some magistrate on review of that wants an executive session. I don't think there's anything there that really requires one, but if the magistrates would review that, and you make the call, of course. All right, hearing nothing, I'll proceed, Judge. The first matter that personnel recommends is the court acknowledge the resignation of Floyd Tackett as of June 18, 2012. We have his written resignation to that effect. Next, Judge, let me say that longtime employee Marley Coleman has been off for some time ill. And Damus tells me that the small engine repair is really backing up and getting to the point of being critical if we're to get the work done out in the county. So we found a fellow who was working and has good experience. He was working over at a lawnmower shop at Zebulon, but we would request that we get approval to hire Bruce Wayne Akers as a temporary small engine repairman. Now, Marley's title was septic tank installer, for which he received 4H pay, but this fellow doesn't do He is temporary, and he doesn't do the septic tanks, and will only be doing small engine repair. So we recommend him at a 3H rate. That is temporary. That is a job which will be required to be posted as soon as we receive, at such time as we do receive Mr. Coleman's resignation. Next, Judge, we recommend approval to transfer Rick Hanshew from a mini packer driver of solid waste area number 1 back to the animal shelter as animal control helper at a 3H rate of pay effective June 12, 2012. Next, approval to transfer Jason Burke from the animal shelter back to solid waste area number 3 as a loader at a 2H rate effective June the 12th. Both of those, of course, is with longevity, including longevity. Finally, we need approval to terminate Timothy Lester from road lot number 5 as of June the 25th, 2012. This is an employee that's been off over a year, has received a 6 months extension, and under the code, he cannot get an additional time. We did notify him of this proposed action by certified mail. We did receive the return receipt. In that letter, we invited him to be here today to address the court if he so desired, if he wanted to object to this, and he is not here. So we recommend his termination effective June the 25th, 2012.
Do I have a motion?
I got one thing. Rick Hanshew, and you worked at the animal shelter 2 or 3 times before? Him and his wife and having a lot of problems down there one time or something?
Chick, there's been a lot of problems down at the animal shelter. Everybody understands that, and we've been trying to address those. I made some personnel changes. This court approved them. The problem was when we transferred Rick out of that position over to a mini packer driver, his personnel file reflected that he had a commercial driver's license, a CDL. Unfortunately, he had surrendered that. That presented a problem since the criteria for that job is that he have it. He also had a physical problem, a limitation or disability, if you will, and he supported that with medical evidence and then made a request of us, of me actually, to make reasonable accommodation under the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, a federal law, and we're required to do that if we can. Certainly the reasonable accommodation would be to move him back. Now, with regard to the other problem down there, we now are using a temporary, I stress the word temporary, a new acting director. A lady's been down there about 4 years. So Kristen Hanshew has moved back to her old position. The courts approved that at its last meeting. Rick is back in his position as animal control officer, and so far, all is well with the world.
I hope so, because we've had it. I mean, I just shared through the neighborhood, you know, that there was some problems there, you know, and this and that, and that's the only reason I brought it up. I mean, nothing against them, I'm just heard people talking about it.
Well, the animal shelter is an ongoing problem, has been for the 5 years that I've been in this job, and we're hopeful some of these changes that have been made. We're addressing problems down there daily. We have resolved that Bobby Branham and I are going to spend a considerable bit more time down there with them. And
Bobby in a cage down there every day.
We might put him in a cage, but nevertheless, we think we're addressing the problems. We're getting ready to do some things down there, and hopefully it's going to be a whole lot better. I would commend the animal shelter folks. They get a lot of criticism, but they've had 4 employees, Master Johnson, to take care of this whole county. The last time we were down there, Bobby, they had over 400 animals down there. It's just a tremendous burden and a load, and we address this in a humane fashion. The judge's policy is that no animal be euthanized. That is our goal. That's what we're working forward and looking forward to. But it's been a difficult task. Our animal shelter has treated everything from seagulls to horses to cows. I mean, we even had a call on a 200-pound hog that was attacking a young girl. Somebody had to shoot it. But for, 4
All
people.
ugly.
Yeah, I wish I'd have been there and took the hog, but but anyway, that's our recommendation, Judge, and you
Hey,
need to make the recommendation and motion.
Motion and a second.
Check.
John Doug,
Yes, sir.
the Jason Burke, he done an awful good job down there. Is he coming back to the solid waste? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah,
make the
Jason
trade?
was well qualified, but as I say, it's a difficult thing when you've got a federal act that you've got to comply with, and so that was the only thing we could see, and certainly both of those fellows are well qualified to be an animal control officer.
Was Hanshu off on sick leave? Is he off working right now?
No, he's working now. We put him back on a temporary basis and moved Jason back over.
Okay.
The reasonable accommodation required by the ADA, Magistrate Dodson, if you can do that, you're required to do it. Now, we don't have to make a job, but it would have been hard for us to argue since he was in that position and we moved him out, that we couldn't move him back. We certainly had that ability to do that. And that just restored Jason to what he was and Rick to what he was.
Another question I had, I had some of the employees that work for Damus that had requested they would like to move into the slot of Marley, his job. Marley is off and he probably won't be back. And one of the employees had indicated that he had some.
Give those names to Judge Hayden.
Yeah, this is just temporary. This is, we're backed up and we had to get somebody on board. We looked a long time. I asked everybody. As a matter of fact, I asked this court one time, let me know if anybody was. Now, since I brought this fellow on board as a temporary, I've heard we do have some employees that are interested. What their experience is, I don't know. This fellow has extensive experience over at that Rick's.
It's only temporary?
Forest Service. Just temporary is all it is. It'll be posted, and any employee that's interested in this job will have every right to bid on it. By the way, I don't know how much the county has a need for a septic tank installer / small engine repairman, but my suggestion to the court is going to be that we eliminate that part of the job, cut it from a 4H to a 3H, and then just make it small engine repair. I think you can get your septic tank work done cheaper on a contract basis, frankly. Anyway.
Have a motion and a second.
Deputy Judge Hayes, talking about the animal shelter, whenever we were in conversation that one day you said you were going to make a challenge out to the county employees?
Oh, yeah, and this will be a good time, and really all of our listeners, we have a good operation down there, and for those who want to criticize, and this court knows there are always critics around. Most of the time the critics are halfway informed, if that. I invite the public to go to our animal shelter. You will find that it is a clean, bright, neat, well-run place down there. These folks are people who love animals, and they care about animals. And every time I go down there, it breaks my heart to see these animals. I'm telling you, you go in the cat room, the cats want to play with you, the puppies get excited, and the dogs. It breaks your heart to know that if those animals don't find good homes, we don't know what's going to happen to them, and really we do. And the end result is not good. It's being euthanized. We've got to be realistic. Animal control is for the people primarily, and we've done a good job in addressing it and being at the same time humane to the animals in Pike County. If I felt like any of our employees were inhumane to any animal, that certainly would call for the appropriate job action, and that would be done. I have never found any evidence of any animal being inhumanely treated down there. But some folks would say the ultimate inhumane treatment is euthanization, putting an animal down. I would just urge people to go down there, look, ask questions. You can volunteer. You can take these animals, the dogs, out to walk them on a leash. You can help the staff down there. And most importantly, Madam Treasurer, they can adopt these animals. I think you adopted, what, a cat or two cats, and you're to be commended for that. I would urge our employees to go down there. Maybe we can cut even a special deal on the adoption rate if you're a Pike County employee. I would urge the public to go to the animal shelter and help out these the poor animals. They haven't done anything to anybody to deserve to be in those cages. And then in this economic time, Judge, people are moving off and they're leaving animals at the home, and then they become the county's problem. And so I think our staff has done great. They're a cheerful, knowledgeable group of people down there, and they will help you, the public, and you'll be well surprised at what's going on. Thank you.
One thing on that, John Doug, even if you don't want to adopt an animal, you can sponsor one. That would help to keep it from being put down at any time somebody comes and doesn't have the funds or the ability to pay. That sponsored animal, if they chose it, they could take it home as an animal with them. Plus, also remember, get your dog tags, $3.
And you remind me of one thing. We did a program on our animal shelter, and we got one person who sent us a donation of $50. I won't say his name because he didn't tell me to say it, but if you want to donate to the animal shelter, we will gladly accept your donations. And it's not for us, it's not for employees, it's for the animals. Thank you.
Need a second.
Especially up at Dorton, they sit the dogs and the cat sat up there. My wife said if I brought any more home, well, I was going to leave. I still went around the office, and I'm doing pretty good at giving them away, though.
I may load up my car and bring you some, Chick.
I seen that at Walmart, so they're eating down there. I was down there. They had cages out there, had them out front and everything. I swear I went and looked at them, and it just made me. I told my wife, I said, you better get away from you. You'll be taking every one of them up shit.
I'm so tempted every time I go down there, and I've already got one dog. My wife would leave me too. See,
Madam Clerk, we have a second.
We need a second.
Need a second? Have a second, Magistrate Robinson. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson. Magistrate Johnson. It's on personnel. Magistrate Murphy. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Magistrate comments. Magistrate Anderson.
Judge, I don't have any comments.
Magistrate Jones.
If available, we'd like to see the mattress road money, if we got anything left over to carry over the 2012-2013 budget. Make a motion. If we got anything left.
Madam Treasurer.
I'm telling you, the wait, we'd have to see when we reconcile, because we got some monies in this year, it's budget next year.
Yeah.
Got a motion on the floor that take in consideration when they finally get the final run out of this year's budget. And I have a second by Magistrate Murphy. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson. Yes. Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes, Magistrate Murphy.
Yes, I was handed a bill here earlier today, and I talked to John about it. It's for several pipes that Road Lot 3 foreman put on order last week, and they say I need to get it okayed so they can pay for it today out of this year's budget of the Road Lot 3. So I want to make a motion that we pay the bill today for $9,983.74 for pipes. MGC Supply of Dorton.
Have a motion, Magistrate Murphy. Have a second. Have a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy.
Yes.
Magistrate Robinson. Yes. Magistrate Dodson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
Yes.
Judge Rutherford.
Yes. Magistrate Robinson. No, I don't have any. Magistrate Dodson.
Yeah, first of all, I want to know why we had to vote to approve your order. We've never done that before, and that's just a question I just want to
Get
ask.
it paid today, I believe.
There were nobody here last week to issue a PO, so without POs, we can't put bills on the PO list, on the expenditure approval list. And he just did it Friday.
That was my question. Judge, I've got a road here to turn in.
Madam Clerk, make it part of the record.
I've got a piece of property that we've been long working on. Charles Carlton has worked on it several times over at Auburn Temple, which is across from the Hatfield-McCoy Park. And I got word, Charles, that this property would be available for us. And I've got some numbers here that you can call. So, you know, if we get it, then maybe one of these days we put a place in there for our...
She'll get it to him, Gilman.
And I just want to thank the employees that helped clean up over at Knox Creek a few weeks ago. Penny and Jim came over and had a pretty good day. Had probably about 90 to 100 people. And
you all did a great job on that. Pike TV did a good job with the documentary they did on that cleanup. And it was great. Carolyn Baker is great to work with, isn't she, Charles? She sure is. She is one that, she is an environmentalist, but she believes in natural gas and coal, and it's very good to work with.
Yeah, John and Bobby come over and kind of instrumented all the work that was being done that day. Made sure that everything got taken care of. But we want to just thank the people, you know, that was involved in it, and Buddy Dotson, he picked up 120 bags off the road that the inmates had picked up that day just from the state line down, and he had a steering wheel in it. So maybe we can get him on the Pride one of these days, recognize him as being a Pride volunteer.
Jimmy Dale was over there with you all.
Yeah, Jimmy Dale was there. But that's one thing that was going on over there. I want to just thank the people for it. And
Gilman, I got several calls about the beauty of Knox Creek. A lot of people have never been to Knox Creek in this county, and they saw it on Pike TV, and they called and said they couldn't believe how clean it was, Charles, from the film they had, and that the beauty of that area of the county. And a lot of times we're here all the time, we just don't realize how beautiful Pike County is, but that brought their attention to it from the Pike TV, and they certainly commended everybody that was involved in it.
And also, Jeannie finally found out what part of the county the sun starts in, and it comes up over in District 5. She was having problems figuring out where the sun come up over there, but it starts out every morning over there, Jeannie, over in District 5, and it comes over this way. But our community center over at Blackberry is being well taken care of by Damus and his crew. It's they cleaned it and painted it, and with the help of the inmates, I think they're just about to complete the painting, ain't they, Damus? And it's a well-needed project. It's been let for a while. And our swimming pools, you know, I just can't say enough for what's happening at our swimming pools. You know, this is the first year that we've been involved with our people that we've got running, and what you're seeing at Chick's and Chris's and over in Johnson Bottom, things are really, really doing well. And I want to thank you and the court for seeing fit to get that off the ground. And we've got some playground equipment ordered. We had some grant money that we was able to put together and put some benches and some tables over there at the swimming pool. They've never had it before. And the parents just continue thanking the court for what they're doing. And last but not least, you know, we've already touched on that Frank Phillips Cemetery. We're going to be continue working on it, and I just want to say we appreciate Rodney Scott, the jailer, for sending his inmates over and doing the rough part, cutting the brush And our road crew, our Pike County road crew, is doing the maintenance on the property. But we just want to thank them all, and we've got a lot of things going on right now, and just glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Magistrate Harris.
Judge, just briefly, I've been in contact through Bill Richardson, who's extension agent with the National Geographic Channel, and they have a program on their channel called, I believe it's called Diggers, where they come around and excavate historical sites and try to find what's there, what's beneath the surface. And they have shown an interest in excavating or doing some archaeological work there at the Hog Trial site. It's a piece of property that's owned by the county. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. Well, prior to them being able to do that, they have to have the county's permission because we're the landowner, and they also have to have permission through the State Archaeology Department, which I didn't know we had such a thing, but evidently we do. So there's going to be some paperwork involved in applying through the State Archaeological Society or Department to get that approved so that they could come in and do a show on an archaeological dig there at the site. And I'd like to have permission of the court and make the motion that we authorize the judge to sign the paperwork necessary to give them that permission.
Have a motion, have a second.
Judge, before we do that, that's over in my district, and I want to find out what he's going to dig on.
That is your district. You're right.
We've got a pretty nice building there and got it in pretty good shape, and I don't want to see him go where, unless they're going to dig us a septic tank and a place where we can put a commode in.
That you're exactly right, and I will have them get in touch with you and explain to you the whole process, what's going on. This just happened Friday afternoon, and I told them that I'd bring it up at the court meeting, and I apologize.
The company is owned by a professional wrestler, retired.
Have a second, and the motion shall contain, as you heard Magistrate Harris state it, and you had the question by Magistrate Dotson, and Mr. Harris responded, so the motion will be, motion's on the floor, have a second. Second, Magistrate Johnson, have a roll call vote, please.
Magistrate
Madam
Anderson.
Clerk, if you need a little bit more information than I gave you, you can get it from Magistrate Harris.
Magistrate Anderson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Murphy. Yes. Magistrate Robinson. Magistrate Dotson.
Yes.
Magistrate Harris.
He almost said I was getting ready to start another feud.
Well, I don't go across the mountain over where Randolph's home place is and interfere with that. So I like to know what's going on. If you
The next fiscal court meeting is on our schedule for July the 3rd, the day for the 4th. That meeting will be canceled, and if we need a special session, we will call it and get a hold of it.
Judge, I've got one more item I'd like to discuss. I did have a chance. I'd missed one court meeting, and I wasn't here when the Hope documents were delivered, and I've had the chance now to look through those documents, and I have some questions that maybe the county attorney, we don't have to have them here at the court meeting, and we don't even have to present it at the court meeting, but I'd like to know the answer to some questions. There are several payees on the check register that don't show up on the Secretary of State's website. One of them is CCH Management, and the other one was T something Computers. And there's a series of payments to those entities that I'd just like to know who those people are and what they're...
Mr. County Attorney, will you get that and get it back to Magistrate Harris?
I will make an effort by talking to the directors to see if they'll provide me that information.
Okay. And then the director, the Monk Sanders, Charles Sanders, who has been to this court several times, he indicated, it indicates on the tax returns that he receives compensation from the organization, but then there's no checks to him in the body of in the check register. And I'd just like to know what that compensation is. It's like $8,000 one year and $10,000 one year, and just those are just round numbers, but it's just those type of amounts. And just wondered where that money actually came from, because it's not through checks. It's not checks that are written to him, so it's some other form of compensation. So if you could get those answers for me, I would appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn.
One more thing.
Go right ahead, Magistrate Johnson.
Can we get a bigger screen here? I'll tell you why. If anyone's gonna get another fuse started here, we can't get it on this thing because his picture a while ago took it, when they had that picture, it took up 2/3 of this thing a while ago.
Have a motion and a second. Have a roll call vote to adjourn.
Master Anderson, Johnson, Murphy, Robinson, Dodson.